Welcome back, folks, to Hashtag AskCSM, a weekly Monday Mailbag video where I answer your questions from Facebook and Twitter right here in this video forum. Without further ado, let's get right into this week's questions, starting with the Facebook questions from Cody C. His question was, what do you think are the most underrated moments and matches in WWE during the PG era? Now, I'll probably be doing another video on this on the channel in the upcoming future, as July marks the 6-year anniversary when WWE first went PG, but a lot of people are quick to mention, oh, the PG era sucks, it's not the Attitude Era. Well, obviously, that goes without saying, but you just got to make the most of it. And I've always had the notion, I've always had the mindset that WWE will probably never be going back to PG-14, or at least anytime soon. I think they're due with Metal and so many sponsors that they get, and the charities and stuff like that. They're not going back to PG-14 anytime in the near future, so a lot of people can just stop wishing that it would happen. Maybe it's different for me because I grew up in the PG era as opposed to PG-14. I just started almost directly when they went to PG, and I didn't grow up during the Attitude Era, so I didn't start watching during the Attitude Era. So it's different for me personally, but a lot of people just gotta let that go. It could be a lot worse. They've grown more edgier in recent years than they were back in 08, 09, 2010 when they were wiping up blood at the first sight of it. Nowadays, they're just going to let it roll. They're a lot more lenient nowadays than they were when they first went PG. But nevertheless, underrated moments and matches from the PG era, I made a whole list of them. And whether you can call them underrated or not is really arguable, but I just picked the top moments and matches from the PG era. Daniel Bryan, his entire rise has happened during the PG era, so be thankful for that. Punk's pipe bomb from 3 years ago, almost exactly. The Nexus angle from the summer of 2010. Brock Lesnar's return to WWE. His entire run since he came back in the last 2.5 years, from beating the Undertaker's streak to coming back and attacking John Cena, his feud with CM Punk, which I thought was stellar. Everything that Brock Lesnar has done, I think, is very underrated in my opinion. The entire CM Punk versus John Cena feud, their match at Money in the Bank, I don't know if you would call that underrated, but definitely one of the biggest moments of the PG era, and probably the biggest feud of the PG era, has been between CM Punk and John Cena. Like a modern day Stone Cold versus Rock, or Cena versus Orton. And someone else asked a question about that before, and I'll get to that in a minute. But CM Punk versus Rey Mysterio, they had a very underrated series of matches in 2009, 2010, 2011, their Capital Punishment pay-per-view match. So a lot of great matches from those two that I think are very underrated. Punk versus Orton, the entire Shield run has happened during the PG era. I don't know if you would call it underrated, but big highlight nevertheless. Christian versus Orton, one of my favorite feuds of all time in my opinion, from 2011 of the World Heavyweight Championship. A fantastic series of matches, underrated in my opinion. Cena versus Batista, I thought that was a fun feud from 08 when they first started kind of feuding, and on the road to SummerSlam 2008 when they first went PG. Their 2010 feud, I enjoyed that too. Going up to WrestleMania, everything else after that was a little, sketchy, but going to WrestleMania, I enjoyed that feud and their match in the Grand Stadium Mall. But those are just a handful of things that stand out to me when people mention the PG era. It's not as worse as it could be, and there definitely have been a lot of highlights of the PG era. More than people, I think, a lot of moments and matches that people take for granted from the PG era. Andre G, his question was, over the years, his top star has always had an opposite. Example, Hulk Hogan and Roddy Piper, Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock, John Cena and CM Punk / Randy Orton. Who do you think will be Daniel Bryan's opposite? Now, I don't know if we should jump to conclusions and say that Daniel Bryan is the new top star in WWE. Just because he's a WWE World Heavyweight Champion doesn't mean he's automatically the top star. He's not at all the face of the company. Just because he's a champion doesn't mean he's the face of the company. That's just a storyline bullshit reason. In reality, for the foreseeable future, it will continue to be John Cena. And I still see John Cena as the top face in WWE. I'm not saying that as a fan of Cena. I'm not a fan of Cena. And I'm a big Daniel Bryan fan, but I don't think he is the top star. Especially since, and I mean it's not his fault, I've gone on record in saying that before, he won the championship, but he did nothing as champion. He had that one feud with Kane. He had a very good match at Extreme Rules, but it was greatly overshadowed. He wasn't on Raw all that much for a variety of reasons. His father passing away, not his fault. The wedding, that just kind of coincided with his championship run, not his fault. And having to get surgery, not his fault. So, and now he's been stripped of the championship. So, and who knows if he'll get the championship when he gets back. I personally believe that he will, but you never know. Anything can happen in WWE. I thought Dolph Ziggler would get the World Heavyweight Championship back last summer, and look how that turned out. So I wouldn't go so far as to say that Daniel Bryan is the new top star right now, but if he is considered the top star, I wouldn't go and say that his opposite is Kane. I certainly hope not. But this might be stretching a little bit. But Seth Rollins, I think if Daniel Bryan came back in time for SummerSlam, and if Seth Rollins is to win the Money in the Bank contract match this upcoming Sunday, and those two can have a hell of a match at SummerSlam for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Is it too early for a Seth Rollins championship run? I would think so, but at this point in time at least. But I think those two, I mean, even dating back to their matches, I know they had a long series of matches at Ring of Honor and whatnot, but if you go back to their matches in 2012 or 2013 last year on Monday Night Raw, they had a great series of matches during Daniel Bryan's feud with The Shield. A lot of people are going so far as to say, myself included, that this would be a match over the World Championship at one point. And 1 year later, that could very well be possible with Daniel Bryan being in the championship hunt and Rollins being pushed more than ever as a singles competitor, being aligned with the Authority. So I think Seth Rollins could be that opposite to Daniel Bryan if Daniel Bryan is considered the top star right now. I could see those two having a world championship match or just a match on pay-per-view, one-on-one by the end of the year, easy if they continue to push both individuals at a top-tier status. His second question was, how would you debut Kalisto on the main roster? Now, personally, I've been very impressed with Kalisto since his debut on NXT about a few months ago. His tag team with LL Call, I enjoyed it, but it was a bit lackluster. They didn't win the tag team championships, and I think the tandem's over. But he just recently had his singles debut in NXT against Tyler Breeze, what I thought was a very good matchup, got very good time. Tyler Breeze, of course, went over. So Kalisto made his debut in a tag team and lost his first singles match on the NXT roster, but that doesn't take away from his momentum at all. I've gone so far as to say since his debut in NXT that he could very well be the next Rey Mysterio. And some people say, oh, he's not the next Rey Mysterio, stuff like that. I understand that, and by that I mean he will be the first Kalisto, and he could replace Mysterio as the top luchador masked man wrestler in the WWE. Sin Cara was a massive failure. Del Rio just never really captured the imagination, so to speak, of the WWE universe when he was a face. He didn't succeed as officials hoped that he would, so that's why he turned back heel a few months later. And I think Kalisto could be the next big luchador wrestler in the WWE. He's over in NXT, and I mean, being over in NXT and on the main roster, there's a big difference. Just look at Adam Rose, for example. But I think he's a great in-ring athlete. He has mic skills. He knows freaking English, unlike Sin Cara, so that's a plus. And he spent a considerable amount of time in NXT, unlike Sin Cara. He just completely skipped over the developmental territory. So Kalisto, he's down in NXT. He knows English. He's a great in-ring athlete. He knows the WWE style, if there is such a thing. He can work with whoever, with the Ascension, Tyler Breeze. He's worked with so far. I'm sure we're going to get a lot cooler matches from Kalisto, a lot better matches from him on the NXT roster in months ahead. But so far so good for Kalisto. How should he make his main? How should he debut on the main roster? I've always been a fan of having someone come in and like with Sami Zayn. I think I pitched this a long time ago. If Cesaro was to be the U.S. or Intercontinental Champion, that Sami Zayn come in and face him on night one. He didn't necessarily need to win, but he can come in and beat him for the championship, much like Paige did. And someone else asked me a question about Paige, which is actually the next question. I'll get to that in a minute. But you can have him come in and do a John Cena-like deal where he faces an in-ring veteran like Rey Mysterio. Maybe, I don't know if you give us that dream match right off the bat, but I guess you could do that, and maybe he can come up short, but he earns the audience's respect in their eyes, and then you continue to build him up in that sense. I mean, I think some of the best debuts are some that you can't pitch. Look at The Shield, for example. I would have never come up with the idea. I don't think anyone could have, for that matter, to have them debut in the main event of Survivor Series in a WWE Championship matchup by having them attack three of the top stars in the industry, CM Punk, John Cena, and Ryback at the time. I mean, he's not now, but you know what I mean, though. Making a major impact on one of the biggest stages of them all, along with the likes of Kurt Angle, The Undertaker, and The Rock, all having debuted at the Survivor Series pay-per-view. So I think some of the best debuts are ones that you can't pitch, but if I was to come up with a debut for Kalisto, say I'm on creative and they asked me to come up with a debut scenario for him, have him come in, face one of the top veterans in the company, someone like a Rey Mysterio, who I think is on the way out anyway, and then you have him earn the audience's respect, maybe by even coming up short. He doesn't even need to win. He's one of those underdog-like characters like Rey Mysterio was and is in today's generation. So that's how I would debut Kalisto on the main roster. Ross S., his question was, no, I believe this one came from Paul S., I'm sorry. The next question is from Paul, is from Ross. I'm confused about that. Paul, I'm sorry. His question was: apparently Paige, whom I think is a no-nonsense pure wrestler, has not been getting warm reaction after being called up to the main roster. So does Adam Rose. Wrestling purists call NXT as a pure wrestling show, similar to TNA. I don't, I don't know about that. I don't know if I would call TNA a pure wrestling show. Maybe ROH. I don't know about TNA. Nevertheless, do you think that it would be better if the WWE would simply call up wrestlers from NXT, those ready to mingle with wrestling entertainment, and leave those pure wrestlers with low charisma, no mic skills, only in-ring skills in NXT? Interesting scenario. This is a way, it's kind of an all over the place question, but this is how I would address that. Anyone with low charisma, no mic skills, only in ring skills, that's what NXT is for them to improve those skills, improve in those areas, and then be called up to the main roster. Someone like a Sami Zayn, just because he's a great wrestler, and I don't know if you're referring to Paige as someone with just in ring skills and no entertainment skills, I guess, or as an entertainer. First of all, to address Paige, I don't think it's her fault. And some people say, oh, she's not over. She's been getting good reactions. It's not like the crowd has been silent. And let's remember, this is a frickin' Divas division. They haven't taken the Divas division seriously in a long time. There have been a few people over the years that have gotten over by themselves. Someone like an AJ Lee with her crazy chick character gimmick that she did in 2012, and she was featured in the main event of Raw a number of times. AJ Lee's a rare exception. Everyone else, no one gave two shits about a number of wrestlers. Alicia Fox is only getting over now because of her character, of the development with her crazy chick thing, the same thing that AJ Lee and Mickie James had. Had she not had that, she would get no reaction. Oksana gets no reaction. The Bella Twins get no reaction. They get some decent reactions, but, I mean, no better than Paige. You know what I mean? It's not like Paige's, the reactions that she get are any less silent than the ones that the other people get. You know what I mean? If anything, she gets louder reactions than them. I'm not just being biased because I'm a Paige fan. I'm just saying it's not like she's going to get a monster reaction. It's the Divas division. She's not going to get a John Cena-like pop every time she comes out to the ring. A Daniel Bryan-like pop every time she comes out to the ring. People don't give a shit about the Divas. And no offense to them, a lot of them are great athletes. You look at guys, you look at women like Naomi, like AJ. Who else do they have down there right now? I can't even freaking tell you. Rosa Mendes isn't using as much. She's good anyway. Oksana was Splitsky, she's gone. Whoever else is in the Divas division right now. Alicia Fox is a very good wrestler. It's not their fault. It's how they're booked. It's not Paige's fault at all. It's how she's been booked since her debut on the main roster. She had a very good opening debut with her against AJ Lee. I've gone back and watched it like a dozen times because I loved it that much. She got a great reaction from the pro-European crowd that night. But it's not her fault. And I strongly dislike the notion that people nowadays say, oh, we should bring up more wrestlers to the main roster. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm all for that. But, to bring some fresh blood to the main roster, why do that right now? We just got Bo Dallas, we've got Rusev, we've got Adam Rose on the main roster right now. We don't need any more call-ups in the near future. Sami Zayn, The Ascension, Tyler Breeze down the road, Adrian Neville, all guys that are ready for the main roster, some more than others. That can be called up within the next few months. Not right now. Here's an idea. Why don't you try pushing the people that aren't getting shots right now? Someone like a Dolph Ziggler, like The Miz, like Damian frickin' Sandow. Why don't you utilize those guys first before you call up people from the NXT roster and just completely just call them a flop because you're not getting over? It makes no sense in my opinion. But to get back to your question, if they're just pure wrestlers, someone like a Paige, don't just keep them down in NXT because then they're not going to achieve any success on the worldwide stage of the WWE. You pose an interesting question, Paul, but I don't think anyone with just in-ring skills should stay down in NXT. They should stay down there to improve their characters and improve in those areas so they can be called up to the main roster. I know some people are, jokingly saying that people like Paige and Emma should stay down in NXT because they get longer matches. Look at Charlotte versus Natalya from TakeOver. That was a fantastic matchup, something that you would never see on the main roster, or at least that we haven't seen in a long time. AJ and Caitlyn, what I thought was a very good feud for the Divas division, but they haven't gone anywhere near that since. They haven't done anything that good since then because they don't have any Divas right now that have any chemistry that AJ and Caitlyn did in terms of characters in the ring, whatever. But anyway, yes, so they should stay on NXT to improve in those areas so they can be called up to the main roster. They shouldn't stay down in NXT forever, then there's no point, because the whole point of NXT is to call up people to the main roster, the next crop of superstars in the WWE. So that's my 2 cents on that. His next question was, he had 4 questions. His second one was, why do you think Vince lost a staggering 20 million bucks? Was it due to the recent TV deals that he made, or does the WWE network have something to do with it? It's a combination of everything. It was a stock dropping about a month ago, that Black Friday that people are calling it. The WWE network maybe not doing as well as they hoped. It has been doing pretty good, maybe not as amazingly as they hoped. They'll be announcing their next set of subscriber count, their next the next number of the WWE network of the amount of people that have subscribed to it since debut 4 months ago. I think they'll be doing that in August, in 2 months from now. But and also, yeah, as you mentioned, the TV deals. It's a combination of everything right now. It's not a sign that they're going out of business or if anything's going to really change. There's a lot of budget cuts right now due to the network, like with the 11 recent releases, which was his next question. I'll get to that in a minute. But a lot of tie-ins today. But anyway, yeah, I think it's a combination of everything. The TV deals, the network, everything kind of going on right now. It's a bit of a crazy scenario, a bit of a crazy environment right now in the WWE behind the scenes. There's a lot of people being cut from the main roster guys. Developmental people are going to be being cut soon. I read last week that the head creative writer was cut. So that being said, it's kind of a combination of everything that Vince McMahon has lost a lot of money, and they're projecting he's going to be losing hundreds of millions of dollars over the next couple of months, I think, or something like that. But it's not a sign that they're going out of business. It's just for right now. It's just until the network finds its legs and stuff like that. So that's pretty much what it has to do with. His next question was, from the 11 people released a couple of weeks ago, who do you think would likely end up in TNA or Ring of Honor? Easily Evan Bourne, aka Matt Sydal. I think he was in Ring of Honor before he came to the WWE. A great in-ring athlete. I don't think he was used to his full potential when he was in the WWE. I've been saying this for years now. A lot of people have. It's not only just me. But he would make a great addition to the TNA X division. I'm not just saying that because TNA is a sinking ship and he shouldn't go there and stuff like that. But for as long as that TNA will be around for the foreseeable future, he should definitely jump ship to TNA. And it's a shame that he won't be able to participate in their Destination X pay-per-view, which is coming up. I think his non-compete clause, I think that comes to an end in September. So that's well over 2 months after the event, but you know what I mean, though. But TNA's X Division needs desperate help right now. Maybe they improve it for the summer, they always do, but then it goes back to being irrelevant by the end of the year. So Evan Bourne would be a great addition to the TNA roster. ROH, easily an amazing addition to their roster if they can get him back in the fold. A lot of people have been going back to Ring of Honor that were once there. People like, I don't know if Jay Lethal was in Ring of Honor before he went there after he was fired from TNA, but people like AJ Styles, Frankie Kazarian, Christopher Daniels, and now Matt Sydal, aka Evan Bourne, could be well on his way back to Ring of Honor once his no-compete clause is up in September. So I would love to see that, Matt Sydal. Everyone else, maybe a Drew McIntyre, people have been saying, oh, he should go to TNA. And I said this before, but with this whole situation, the awkward environment that being in the same company with his ex-wife, that with Taryn Terrell, that would create, that would be a little bit strange. So I don't see that happening. But he could go to Ring of Honor. That'd be very cool. I would love to see Drew McIntyre, aka Drew Galloway, in Ring of Honor to use his full potential as well. Everyone else, like a Kurt Hawkins, maybe, but I don't know. He has his wrestling school going on right now. He might be just doing indies. Brodus Clay, I think, is going over to Japan. Same with Yoshitatsu or whatever his deal is. I don't know. But yeah, those are some people that I would like to see in WWE. See in TNA or Ring of Honor. They were released from WWE. And his final question was, if you can pick one guy from either the WWE, TNA, Ring of Honor, Japanese promotions, indie scenes, who do you think is the best wrestler in the world today? I saw this question when you posted it, and I just have no idea how to answer it. I only watch WWE, TNA, and I just started watching Ring of Honor. I don't watch the indie scenes. I go to indie events, but I don't watch like Dragon Gate or Chikara or CZW or whatever else there is. I don't watch that stuff. So maybe the best wrestler on the wrestling scene today is in one of those promotions. I just don't know. And there's a lot of amazing talent over in Japan too that I have no idea about. I see names pop up all the time that I don't even know, but they could be very well the best wrestlers in the world today. So if I had to take a guess, the best wrestler in the world today could likely be over in Japan right now. But I can't answer that question because I'm not. I can't really take into the factors of the Japanese and indie promotions. I'm just thinking WWE, TNA, Ring of Honor. I would have said CM Punk, earlier this year, but since he's gone, I don't. You can't really say CM Punk right now since he's technically retired, according to what he said in an interview not too long ago. Daniel Bryan would be at the top of the list, maybe not number one, but he would definitely be in the top five, maybe top three. Like I said, I don't watch Japanese or indie scenes, so I can't really say Japanese promotions or the indie independent circuit, so I can't really say who is the best wrestler in the world today. It's all subjective anyway, so it's not really, CM Punk is the definite best in the world. Best is an adjective, it's an opinion. I could say that the Great Khali is the best wrestler in the world. He's not obvious. That's funny to even say, but it's all what you perceive as the best. You know what I mean? So best wrestler, best entertainer, best sports entertainer, best professional wrestler. There's a big difference. So I can't really answer that question, but if I had to take a guess, probably someone over in Japan. Ross, his question was, how would you book a Goldust versus Cody Rhodes / Stardust feud? So you mentioned Stardust, and people have been booking, I mean people in general, myself included, have been booking this Cody Rhodes Goldust feud for years. Go back to 2011, people were pitching this thing. I wanted to see it at WrestleMania 28, 29, 30, and it wasn't happening at any of those events. They should have done it at WrestleMania 30. I don't know why they didn't. And it finally looked like they were going to start feuding before they slapped on the Stardust thing. And I'm not going to completely hate on it, but I'm not going to praise it either. I'm just going to wait and see where it goes. It just seems a little goofy to me. I think Cody Rhodes is over on his own. Go back to Money in the Bank last year. 1 year ago, this guy was over as hell in front of the Philadelphia crowd at Money in the Bank when he almost won the matchup, when he almost won the damn thing, before he was betrayed by Damian Sandow. Those two had a good feud going into SummerSlam. He was over when he was tag teaming with Goldust, and there was no reason. I was one of the few that was pitching a Goldust heel turn, and then Cody Rhodes would be the babyface for their tag team, or for their feud going into WrestleMania or wherever. But and right now, even if Cody Rhodes was to go heel as Stardust, he would be the heel. I don't think there's any real doubt right now that if they are to feud going into SummerSlam, that Cody Rhodes would be the heel and not Goldust at this point. I think it should be the other way around, quite honestly, but because Goldust is the one that's leaving and he's going to be putting Cody over. But anyway, I just don't really see any point in teasing a breakup between Goldust and Cody. I know it's a swerve, I understand that, but if they're going to be remaining a tag team in the long term, then what was the point of putting the Stardust character on that, slapping that persona on Cody in the first place? They were over on their own. It's not like a Primo and Epico where people didn't really care, and I still don't care about them as Los Matadores, but, slapping that gimmick on them and making people care about them. You know what I mean? I think Goldust and Cody were over on their own. They just needed a push. Because after they took the tag titles off them, they did next to nothing with them. So creative, that is. So how would I book it? At this point, if the Stardust thing is here to stay, and it looks like it is, I would just have Cody turn on Goldust, ditch the Stardust bullshit, and then book that feud for SummerSlam. I think that could be a great addition to the SummerSlam card. I would hope that they don't give it away to Battleground or on Raw, SmackDown, or even freaking Superstars or Main Event for that matter. But at this point, I would have booked it different. I mean, it looked like Cody Rhodes was going to turn on Goldust, saying that Goldust was a weak link and having, picked all these tag team partners, and Goldust was one that was losing and not Cody. So that was the way that I would have booked it a few weeks ago, but now you throw in this whole Stardust thing. I still say the end game should be Cody Rhodes turning heel, ditching the Stardust thing, and doing that feud for SummerSlam. Goldust puts Cody over. He says bye-bye after his contract expires. He retires. Cody Rhodes turns face maybe after they shake and cry, hug, whatever. And then that's it. So that's how I would book the feud. Knowing WWE, they're probably just going to stick with the Stardust thing. And like I said, I'm not going to shit on it right now, but we'll see where it goes. RJ from WrestleRant Radio, my co-host, his question was, and this was from last week, but he tweeted it, and he didn't tag me in the post, so I didn't see it. He just kind of tweeted that with the hashtag. So just as a reminder, if you want to ask a question for the show, make sure to tweet me directly at WrestleRant with the hashtag AskGSM. Don't tweet the question out without tagging me in the post, because then I won't see it, because I don't look up the hashtag or anything like that. I just look at my mentions. If it's not my mentions, if I don't favorite your tweet, then it won't be included in the show. So just an FYI. But his question was, who do you think should be the WWE World Heavyweight Champion going into Battleground in SummerSlam? So I'll also combine this with another question I got from Sorry About Your Damn Luck. His question was, who do you think will win the titles at Money in the Bank? Realistically, who do you think will win it? So technically 3 questions here. Who should win it? Who do I want to win it? And who will win it? So to address all 3 categories, who do I want to win it? So we got Cena. No, I don't want Cena to win it. Orton, no. Sheamus, no. Bray Wyatt, Cesaro, Roman Reigns. Who's the other guy? Del Rio, freaking no. Sorry, buddy. Bray Wyatt, I wouldn't mind it. I just don't think Bray Wyatt needs a championship to get over. If Daniel Bryan is back by Battleground and they give the championship to Bray only to drop it to Bryan, I could see that happening. But Bray shouldn't get a 1 month title reign or even a 2 month title reign. I think it should be longer than that. Same thing goes with Roman Reigns and Cesaro. I would love one of those guys to win it. Out of all of those guys, I would love to see Cesaro win it. Roman Reigns, they could have him defend against Orton at Battleground and then face Triple H at SummerSlam, but I think that's a feud that doesn't need the WWE Championship attached to it. So, who do I want to win it? Cesaro. Who should win it? Bray. I want one of the fresh faces to win it. Del Rio is, I think he's the lowest out of anyone in this match. But I don't even know why he's in it to even be honest with you. John Cena, Orton, I don't think either of them should win it. I do think one of them will win it. I'll get to that in a minute. But who should win it? Roman Reigns or Bray Wyatt. I think both of them are ready for a world championship. Maybe not as ready as they should be, but I do think that they can carry a world championship program at this point in time. So who should win it? Bray Wyatt or Roman Reigns. Cesaro might be a little bit early, but I'd still love to see him win. So Reigns or Bray Wyatt. Who will win it? John Cena, probably. Orton is a no-go. He's just kind of in there to kill space. Same with Sheamus as well as Del Rio. The fresh faces, all 3 of them, Cesaro, Wyatt, and Reigns, are all future world champions. I just think it might be a bit soon for all of them. I think, like I said before, they're ready. If you give them a world championship, they could carry a world championship program, but I do think it might be a little soon for them. But either way, though, I could very well just see John Cena winning the WWE World Heavyweight Championship come Money in the Bank next Sunday. I think they'll probably give the championship to him. And he's one of those guys that if you give a championship to, he could just drop it the next month at Battleground or at SummerSlam because he's had God knows how many title reigns in the past, maybe 15, or it would be 15 come Money in the Bank. But that being said, though, he's one of those guys that could win a championship for a day, a week, a month, and not have it mean anything. It's fine if you take the title off him. Do I want to see him win another world championship? No. Do I want to see him pass Ric Flair's record of 16 championship reigns? No. But I do think it will happen, unfortunately. But nevertheless, who do I think will win it? John Cena. Who should win it? Bray Wyatt or Roman Reigns? Who do I want to win it? Cesaro. That answers 2 questions in one. So the next question comes from @the_Justin_Godsey. In WWE, who would you like to push more? Who would you push more out of these 4 past wrestlers? Maven, Raven, Mark Jindrak, or Brian Kendrick? Now, before this, Justin asked me what were my thoughts on Mark Jindrak, and I responded to him by saying that he was supposed to be in Evolution. According to the Triple H DVD, this was news to everybody. I don't know how this news didn't break before, but apparently he was supposed to be in the Evolution, the original incarnation of Evolution, back in 2003, but he was replaced by, I think, either Orton or Batista. I forgot who it was, but I think maybe Batista replaced Jindrak in the group. And I wasn't a fan at the time, so I can't really tell you, but based off what I've seen from Jindrak, I don't really think he had massive in-ring potential or massive potential to be a top star in WWE. Same thing with Maven. Raven is in a whole different category out of all of these guys, because Raven was from like the 90s. Maven, Jindrak, and Brian Kendrick was a little later in the 2000s, but Raven had hit his peak in the 90s when he was in ECW, and he had a run in WWF as well as TNA, but it wasn't the same as it was in ECW. I think his gimmick could have allowed him to be a top star. Maybe not in WWE, given the gimmick, and it got over in ECW for a reason. Who would I push out of these 4 guys, though? I would have to say Brian Kendrick. I think Raven got his shot in ECW. Maybe not as big of a shot as it should have been, but Brian Kendrick I never really thought got his due. He was very fun in the tag team scene, no doubt about that, with Paul London, had a great tag team going, but when they broke him off, he really started to find his stride, with Ezekiel Jackson by his side, and being, no rhyme intended there, But with Ezekiel Jackson by his side, being pushed as the Brian Kendrick, and he even got a shot at the WWE Championship. He was the WWE Champion, not officially, but he was the interim general manager, or the interim, WWE Champion at the 2008 Unforgiven event. You can recall that. And then his push just died out of nowhere. Like he was jobbing at Carlito and Primo like 2 months later. So I don't know what the point of that was. But he was another guy that was trained by Shawn Michaels. He spent time in Ring of Honor. I don't know why he hasn't gone back to Ring of Honor, to be honest with you. And when he came over to TNA, he had a few cool matches here and there in the X division. But I think the whole meditation yoga bullshit gimmick, I thought that was dumb, and I don't know why they tagged that on him to begin with. I think he was fine. I think it just let his abilities in the ring speak for themselves. I don't think he needed that whole stupid meditation gimmick, whatever the hell it was. I thought that was stupid. But anyway, though, in the WWE, I thought he did have the potential, along with Paul London. I thought he too could have been like an Evan Bourne-like guy. Maybe not world championship material, but I think that he could have been bigger than what he was. Same thing with Brian Kendrick. Maybe not world championship caliber, but maybe in the upper mid card over on the SmackDown brand back like he was in 2008. So I would have given him a bigger chance and not released him out of nowhere in 2009. At least give him a US or IC title reign. I thought that was dumb that they got rid of him out of nowhere. But nevertheless, out of those four guys, I would push Brian Kendrick. The Innovator, his question was, do you think Spike TV might be watching the ROH pay-per-view so they can boot TNA off and replace it with Ring of Honor? Now, I had the same mindset about a week or two ago. I had the same idea. A lot of people were thinking Ring of Honor should be picked up by Spike TV. They can finally get a TV deal. But I stand corrected. Apparently, I mean, this is true fact, and I completely forgot about this, but Ring of Honor has a TV deal in place with Sinclair Broadcasting. That's where they air all their shows in certain markets. I don't get it on my TV, but you can watch it online. That's where I watch it. But they have a place in deal. They have a deal in place, with Sinclair Broadcasting. That's who they're owned by. So no chance in hell Spike TV can pick up Ring of Honor. Even if they wanted to, they can't because they're owned by Sinclair Broadcasting, Ring of Honor, that is. So I would love to see Ring of Honor on a channel like Spike TV. And right now, I don't think TNA has signed a new deal with Spike, and I think they will at some point in the near future. Do I want them to? I want to see TNA succeed. I'm not one of those people that would love to see TNA go out of business. I don't want to see anyone out of a job. That's stupid. The dumb asinine mindset to have. But I would love to see Ring of Honor on national television. Spike TV, not my favorite channel. I think TNA is the last thing they have going for them right now. That's the only thing that gets them ratings aside. That's the only thing that gets them ratings aside from Cops. But anyway, though, I would like to see Ring of Honor on national TV. I don't think that they can be picked up by Spike TV because of the Sinclair Broadcasting deal. And so until that thing is up, you will not be able to see Ring of Honor on your television on any channel aside from Sinclair Broadcasting. But nice idea anyway, though, because I had the same idea a few weeks ago, and it was shot down since I realized that they can't. So at JJF Tweets, his question was, what are your thoughts on Ring of Honor's Best in the World pay-per-view? So I was unable to watch it live. I was working last night. By the time I got home, it was too late to start tuning in. But I will be watching after I'm done filming this video. Believe it or not, I will be watching the show. I won't be reviewing it in a written form on my website. I'm not doing written reviews for Ring of Honor yet. I'm still kind of getting used to the product. I've been watching it for the last month since I got home from college. I'm still kind of getting used to it, getting to know the storylines, the wrestlers, and stuff like that. So I can't write the reviews yet, but I do talk about it on Wrestle Rant Radio, so make sure to tune into that. Shameless plug. Every Tuesday on my website, nextwrestling.weebly.com, my thoughts on Ring of Honor, WWE, TNA, whatever else. But on paper, though, the card looked great. Bad Influence. Frankie Kazarian and Christopher Daniels were supposed to be there. Adam Cole defending the ROH Championship against Michael Elgin. Jay Lethal against Matt Taven. Two of my favorite wrestlers on the indie scene right now. I've met both guys. Actually, I haven't met Jay Lethal, but I have met and interviewed Matt Taven on a number of occasions. Great guy. So I'm looking forward to that matchup when I watch it. It's already happened by this point, but thankfully I haven't been spoiled by anyone and don't know the results yet, but I will be watching after I'm done with this video. But on paper, it looked like a great show. Great for Ring of Honor for scoring a pay-per-view deal. Hopefully that continues, and the prices aren't even that ridiculous. Like, TNA expects you to pay, like, what, frickin' $40 for one of their pay-per-views, and their cards aren't even that great most of the time. Slammiversary, on paper, I thought exceeded expectations, and on paper, though, the card really wasn't that great to begin with, so I wouldn't have paid the money to watch a TNA pay-per-view. I never have. But for Ring of Honor, for a $25 show, for a $20 show, that's a great freaking card. Much better than most cards that TNA's been putting out as of late. So I think it's great for them that they got on pay-per-view. I'm going to be watching the pay-per-view in a short bit, so I can't really comment on how the pay-per-view went or give my thoughts on it. But if you want my thoughts on it, once again, shameless plug, make sure to listen to Wrestle Rant Radio this week, my full thoughts on the show. At BT3991, his question was, who is going to join the Shield? Answer, nobody. I think this is the hot topic about one or 2 weeks ago when it looked like Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns were still a part of the Shield. They came out, did the Shield entrance, they were wearing the Shield attire, did the Shield theme, they had that stuff going, the Sierra Hotel, India Echo, Lima Delta, the Shield thing, the intro to that. But since then, as of last week's Raw, it was a complete 180. And I see a lot of people pooping all over, one of the worst breakups ever. I like it better this way, to be honest with you. I think they should address it. Have Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose at least do a backstage skit saying, hey, the Shield is no more, but we'll remain friends. We've got each other's backs. I think it's better that way to at least address that they're allies. But I do like it better than the two splitting up, parting ways. Don't just completely ignore that alliance, but at least address it. So that'd be good. I'm fine with those two going their separate ways. They have very bright singles futures. Dean Ambrose, I've just become a big fan of him. I've been a fan of him since he debuted on the main roster, a part of the Shield. He was always my favorite of the Shield members. I always loved the Shield as a whole, but of those three, he was kind of my favorite. But I don't know, he's just quickly becoming one of my favorite singles guys, active competitors in the WWE right now, with William Regal semi-retired, and Punk gone, and Christian out with an injury. Or he will be gone in the foreseeable future probably. So Dean Ambrose is kind of filling in that role as my new favorite active wrestler on the roster today. But nevertheless, though, I don't think the Shield is. I think the Shield is no more, and they won't be adding any more members, which is probably for the better. Leave the memories alone. Have the guys reunite 5 years down the line. And for that matter, I've said this to people in the last couple of days, and someone brought this up, and I thought it was a great idea. I like the Roman Reigns remix of the Shield thing with the Shield theme. I think it's cool. I like all three themes from all three guys. They should probably get new themes at some point. They all kind of sound generic. Roman Reigns is the Shield theme with a bit of a remix and without the intro. But someone pointed this out, and I completely agree with this notion, that they should give him a completely new theme, if only because it will mean more when the Shield eventually reunites, years down the line. It's going to have a big pop to it when that theme hits. And if Roman Reigns continues to use it, it won't be the same. You know what I mean? So I would love to see Roman Reigns get a new theme at some point. It's fine for right now, but I think he should change it at some point. Same thing with Rollins and Ambrose. But yes, I do believe that the Shield is no more, and no one will join the Shield because the Shield is over. Saddens for me to say that, but it's the truth. At Raw is Gibby, his question was, which wrestler in TNA has the most chance of being a top star? I was looking up and down the roster. Someone like a Magnus, who I'm a big fan of, was already the world champion. Some would argue that his reign was a flop, and I do agree with that. It's not his fault. It was the way his booking went. But in terms of younger guys who aren't in the main event scene, who could be a future world champion, Ethan Carter III, aka the artist formerly known as Derek Bateman, I think could be a great star for TNA. I don't think that WWE made a massive mistake in releasing him, that it could have been the next Stone Cold of the wrestling business, if you know what I mean. But I think TNA made chicken salad out of chicken shit. I'm not saying that Derek Bateman was terrible in WWE, but I don't think that he would have ever been a world champion. But they ditched the comedy aspects for the most part of his character, made the focus on his wrestling. He's come a long way as a heel in TNA. Being aligned with Dixie Carter, I think it's for the better. It gets him more heat. And he's got a lot of big wins, fluky wins, but wins nevertheless, over Bully Ray, over Sting, over Kurt Angle, over 3 TNA Hall of Famers, or soon-to-be Hall of Famers, with the exception of Devon. But anyway, though, EC3 I think is a future star for TNA. I've said this before, and I don't think TNA is returning it, unfortunately, but if they were to hold it, the Bound for Glory series, I think EC3 could win it and then go on to Bound for Glory to win the championship. That's different now because Bobby Lashley is the new champion, so it kind of throws a wrench into those plans. But EC3 I could very well see him be a future world champion for TNA and a big asset to them down the line. He is a definition of a youth movement in TNA, in being a young guy that is over right now, is a great wrestler, good on the mic, good personality, and a very good heel, and one of the future stars of Impact Wrestling. Final question from I already answered this question from @sorry about your damn luck. about who should win the Money in the Bank. I already answered that question. But so that's going to about do it for today's edition of hashtag AskGSM. If you want to ask a question, make sure to tweet me on Twitter at WrestleRant with the hashtag AskGSM, or on Facebook at the page Graham GSM Matthews, or you can even leave a comment down below. I will feature it in next week's video. So make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. All support is greatly appreciated. Thanks for watching, guys. This is Graham GSM Matthews, and I'll catch you guys next week.